I'm Christiana Gaudet. I've been a full-time tarot professional for about 30 years. I do a lot of readings with a lot of different decks. And you may know me as your tarot fairy godmother. You may know me as the author of Fortune Stellar and Tarot Tour Guide. You may know me as the founder and organizer of StarCon. I'm here with this video to make maybe a sort of scholarly plea to the tarot community at large to consider something that I myself would not have considered before yesterday. What I am here to talk about is a specific construct by the tarot artist Ciro Marchetti. Now, I love Ciro. I love Ciro as a person. I love him as an artist. I love him as a community member. One of the things he's done is to create extra court cards. Now, typically, I am a person who does not like extra cards in a deck, although I will say that when I have used decks with extra cards, the cards do come up in readings in ways that are very poignant and real, and I recognize that. But still, I feel like typically in my mind, there's not much that you would have to say that could not be said in the 78 cards of tarot. For example, the unknown card might tell you to trust your own intuition. High Priestess, Moon. The unknown card might also tell you that something is at this moment unknowable. Wheel of Fortune. I think there's ways that tarot can do it. So, every Monday in the morning, I do live streaming video readings. I call it Your 3-Card Weekly Reading. I do it on YouTube, but I multi-stream on many platforms. I pull 3 cards for the collective for the week ahead and individual cards for those who request. So I try to use a different deck each week, I don't have that many decks, but enough decks to switch it up a lot. So yesterday was Monday, it was Memorial Day, and I was like, yeah, let me use a deck I've not used. And so I grabbed a Ciro Marchetti deck, of which I have many, and I was like, well, I haven't used this one. And I didn't think to remember why I hadn't used this one. Because one of my criteria for a deck I will use on Monday is I want it to be pretty traditional. Specifically weight. I am a weight reader. All respect to the Crowley readers, to the Marseille readers. I'm a weight girl for the very most part. And so I want it to be something that I know really well. And most of Marchetti's decks, I do. And so I forgot that within this deck were 4 extra cards, the Palace cards. When did I discover the Palace cards were in this deck? When I pulled one for a viewer. And you know what I discovered very quickly thereafter? It's freaking brilliant. Now, how did I interpret it? I didn't have a book handy. Again, I'm trying to go quickly because I've got a bunch of requests to get through. I remember a conversation about it with Mitchell Osborne, who I also really love and respect. And I remember Mitchell saying, well, the palace, it's like where the court lives. Makes sense. And it's the place. It's the place of the element. So that's what I had in my mind, the place of the element. And after that first palace card came up, a few others did over the course of the more than an hour-long live stream. And I came away from that with the idea that this is freaking brilliant and we should pay attention. This is worth it. And to artists and authors who are designing decks or writing about decks, I would love to consider the idea that Marchetti's Palace cards be a legitimate option for your new deck because it's smart and it works. Now, are there any other extra cards that I am a proponent of? Only one, the Happy Squirrel, which came from a Simpsons episode, Lisa's Wedding. Check it out. But I love pop culture and I love tarot and I love when those two things come together. So let's go over to CardCam and let's talk about the Palace cards and let me make my case for the idea that these cards do what in my mind rises to the threshold of, yeah, it makes sense, let's do it, by not being a duplicate of something that already exists in the deck. All right, the first thing I want to do. Okay, the Palace cards came to us first in the second edition of Tarot of Dreams. And here's what the author Lee Burston, in part, had to say about the Palace cards. After the first edition of the Tarot of Dreams was published, Ciro created 4 palace images, one for each of the suits. He described them as Tarot of Dreams real estate and speculated on how they would appear in real estate agent listings. This is so good. This is so good. I love this so much. Oh my gosh, let's play with this. Okay. Cups, prime waterfront property. Coins, or of course pentacles, offering mountain views and close to protected parkland. So smart, so smart. Swords, the ultimate penthouse. I like that. I like that. I might have also gone with like high-tech smart home. Wands, glorious sunsets in warm, lush garden settings. I would have also said fireplaces in every room. But the point is, how freaking brilliant is this? It is so brilliant. Fortunately for us, Ciro has decided to include these 4 cards in the new edition of the Tarot of Dreams. I like to think of each palace as a 5th court card, an opportunity to give the king, queen, knight, and page a place to interact and a context in which to express themselves. In a reading, the palace cards could indicate the energies of the suit expressed as an environment. It could be an environment where you currently find yourself, or it could show a potential or opportunity for you to create that environment. So I didn't have that in my head when I was in a position where I really just had to do the reading. But readers, we know, like, that's when the best readings happen, is when you're in that position. And it was just so clear. And what was clear to me was it was not just about finding a physical place or like go to the Genius Bar at Apple to get your computer fixed, or go to the bank, or go to the beach house, right? Or go dance around the bonfire, although any of that could work for these cards, right? It's also that place in your mind, the place in your mind for creativity, the place in your mind where you feel free to be able to learn. You know, if you're a person who has anxiety about learning, which a lot of us do, how do you find that place in your mind? the place where you feel safe to love and be loved. And is that a physical place? For a lot of people, it is. Is it a place in your mind and heart? Perhaps also, yes. Now, let me show you. Oh, yeah. And the place where you can believe that you are enough and will have enough. Let me show you. So this is, and to my knowledge, and I could be wrong, and please drop a comment and correct me if this or anything else I say is in error. But I believe the only two decks that exist that have palaces are Tarot of Dreams and Encore Tarot. Tarot of Dreams from US Games, Encore Tarot from Ciro Marchetti, independently published, Mystic Palette. Okay. So let me show you the ones from, I'll put them with their counterparts. That will be fun, right? So here are the two Palaces of Swords, very similar. And that was the idea of Encore Tarot, that it honor all the decks that up until that point Ciro had created. An encore, if you will. Okay. Now, the thing that I am positing here is not only is this like the coolest concept ever and really exciting that I'm excited that I'm coming to it, like, you know, so many years after hearing it first and poo-pooing it and being able to open my mind to it and recognizing that not only is it acceptable, it's freaking brilliant. But, you know, the question is, and this is, you know, this is my posit, right? Two things. First, for extra cards to be a reasonable addition to tarot, it either needs to, you know, be something that is thematically appropriate, if it's a particular themed deck, or like the Happy Squirrel, which is just this great pop culture theme that, you know, just goes there. Or it needs to plug a hole. It needs to fill a hole in tarot. Now, the question is, these places of element, could any other card do this job? And I, you know, as I think about it, I would argue that, yeah, probably the aces do this job. Maybe the queens, maybe in some cases, the kings themselves, you know, maybe other court cards generally can do this job. Maybe the aces can do this job. But there is something about taking that job off their backs, since they do so many jobs already, and putting that job here that seems reasonable, appropriate, and helpful to the reader, the reading, and the person receiving the reading. What do you think?